Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. We just got a bunch of announcements about what's going on in Superman Legacy, who some of the villains are going to be. There's a bunch of characters, both heroes and villains, that James Gunn announced himself earlier this year, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. Starting with the biggest thing first, this past week you probably saw we learned Brainiac and Angela Spica, the engineer from the Wildstorm comics, are going to be some of the antagonists. We already knew that they were bringing the Wildstorm characters into DC, like they're going to be doing an Authority movie after Superman Legacy, so it makes sense that they'd introduce some of those characters during Superman Legacy. James Gunn also pushed back on the idea that the engineer would be a villain in the movie. Like, I wouldn't call her a villain, so it sounds like she might just be a minor antagonist to Superman for some of the movie. But Brainiac is supposed to be the actual main villain.
In time, the entire universe will adhere to my design.
Now we've learned that at least part of the Authority team will debut during Superman Legacy. The engineer becomes part of that team in the comics, but they didn't say which other members of the Authority will be in Superman Legacy and whether or not the engineer will actually be on the team at the beginning of the film. There might just be a few members of the team in the movie. Here's where we get to the actual plot of the film. So when the events of the movie pick up, Superman is still very early in his career. He isn't widely known around the world yet. Then in the Middle East, there's a conflict that serves as his big public debut where everything gets caught on camera, spread all over the world. Everyone sees him and what he can do. The movie is not going to be an origin story for him. It'll be kind of like the Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, where it's Batman year 2, so he's already been Batman for a little while, but he's still sort of figuring out the Batman identity just in general, so it's the same situation for Superman. Superman starts the movie already having a version of the Fortress of Solitude, and the Fortress alerts him to the presence of this Kryptonian technology that these terrorists have gotten their hands on. He feels like the Kryptonian tech will provide some clues about Krypton, revealing that when the movie picks up, he doesn't know that much about his true origins or what happened to Krypton just in general. Generally, all the Kryptonian lore that's part of Superman's heritage in the comics in the previous movies. They kind of did this during the Smallville series. Like, some of this will sound familiar. Like, oh yeah, he grows up not knowing about Krypton and gets his powers. Then he learns about Jor-El, his true heritage, all that stuff.
Is that where Krypton is?
No, that's where Krypton was.
What do you think happened to it?
Oh, it could be any one of a million different scenarios.
Separately, when the movie picks up, General Sam Lane and Amanda Waller learn the terrorists have the Kryptonian tech on their side of things in the US government. They send the Authority to investigate, so that's how they get involved with Superman while he's there too. And it sounds like the way they're positioning things, like the Authority do not trust Superman at first because he's so powerful. Nobody on the planet really knows that much about him, and the Kryptonian technology is so advanced and powerful, and both sides want the technology itself. So at least at the beginning of things, it sounds like they started odds with each other. This might be where the engineer character gets involved. I don't know if she's going to start the movie being on the Authority team, like I said, or join the team later during the movie, or join the team during the events of the separate spin-off Authority movie that they're doing at some point after Superman Legacy. But in the comics, the engineer is a woman who grew up knowing the first version of the engineer. She used his technology to replace her blood with nanites, turning her body basically into liquid metal. It gives her all kinds of abilities. She can assimilate other technology, she can fly, she can control other machines remotely. She doesn't have normal human body parts, so she can survive in the vacuum of space or harsh environments. She's super powerful. The way that James Gunn was pushing back on the idea that she was like a villain, quote unquote, like a traditional type of villain, kind of like Brainiac, made it sound like she'll just start at odds with Superman. Early theory, she might wind up assimilating some Kryptonian technology during the movie, giving her a big upgrade, and part of her DCU origin story. Some of you also probably realize that some of this subplot in the movie with General Sam Lane, Amanda Waller working together, the Kryptonian technology, the people on Earth getting their hands on, Superman generally not knowing about Krypton itself, all makes Superman Legacy also sound a little bit like the plot of My Adventures with Superman TV series. It's a great series if you haven't seen it yet. It's on HBO Max. But it's a totally different take on Superman's origin story. They invoke a lot of multiverse during that too, funny enough, because we're in the middle of this multiverse stuff at Marvel. During that series, his Fortress of Solitude is an actual ship, kind of like the way that Zack Snyder during his Justice League trilogy had a Fortress of Solitude being an old Kryptonian ship. But up to present day, this version of Superman's been afraid to actually enter it, so he hasn't learned that much about his origin story like the ship itself. The AI of Jor-El hasn't taught him that much about Krypton. They also just ended Season 1 teasing that Zod and Brainiac are coming to conquer Earth, who are a little bit different than their previous incarnations. And at least at some point in the past of this Earth, Zod seems like he tried to invade Earth with a Kryptonian army, or other Kryptonians tried to invade, which is how General Lane and Amanda Waller got their hands on Kryptonian weaponry in the first place. But all that stuff is totally separate from Superman Legacy. Superman's backstory, General Lane, Amanda Waller, Zod, Brainiac's stories in the movie will probably be just a little bit different. We heard rumors about Brainiac being in the movie earlier this year, and because Superman starts the movie not really knowing anything about Krypton just in general, they might use his encounter with Brainiac to teach him about Krypton and his heritage. Because when the movie picks up, Brainiac would have already been to Krypton and stolen the bottle city of Kandor before it had blown up. So Brainiac knows all about Kryptonians and their history. Also, they're working on the new Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. Brainiac in the Bottle City of Kandor might help set her movie up a little bit too. James Gunn hasn't really explained what Superman's relationship with Supergirl is like during this first Superman Legacy movie, if he's met her, if she knows she exists, if she knows he exists. My early theory is we'll get some kind of teaser for her during the movie, like there's another Kryptonian out there somewhere. But I don't think that she's in Superman Legacy, like the actual character isn't in the movie, so it might just be some verbal teaser or information or something that Brainiac says during the film. The whole plot with Brainiac coming for Earth and Superman meeting him for the first time sounds a lot like the more recent Jeff Johns Brainiac storyline, where basically that's what goes down. The only difference in the comic book storyline is that when Brainiac came for Earth, Superman was much older and he already knew all about his Kryptonian heritage. But it sounds like when the movie picks up, the Authority is treating Superman kind of as an antagonist, not really trusting him at first. And over the course of the movie, he helps them defeat Brainiac, saving the planet. So you can kind of see the plot, like slowly he'll win their trust, but it takes a little while for that to happen. James Gunn did say that a big theme of the movie would be Superman trying to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage and his life on Earth as Clark Kent, because for the most part, like I said, he starts the movie only knowing himself as Clark Kent, corn-fed farm boy from Kansas. And this also just gets back to the whole Smallville series. That's basically the way they did things on the Smallville series with his backstory. Like he grew up as Clark Kent, then got his powers, then learned about Krypton, the Fortress of Solitude, Jor-El, all that stuff. But it took several seasons for him to learn all those things. Like he didn't get the big info dump right at the beginning of season 1. There are a ton of other characters they announced in the movie, like Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, so it sounds like the Earth already has many superheroes running around when Superman is born and grows up, like a lot of superheroes active on the planet.
This was a gift from the head of my makeup department over at Castle. Her name is Debbie Zoller. Thank you, Debbie. I'm looking at the reflection. Thank you, Debbie, very much for my shirt. I told you it would come in handy. And I think it brings out the green under my eyes.
The next thing is a big premiere HBO television series called Lanterns. This is a story of a couple of Green Lanterns, John Stewart and Hal Jordan, and we have a few other lanterns peppered in there, but this is really a terrestrial-based TV show, which is almost like True Detective with a couple of Green Lanterns who are space cops watching over Precinct Earth. In it, they discover a terrifying mystery that ties into our larger story of the DCU.
We don't really know how a ton of these other superheroes and villains get involved in the movie, like Lex Luthor, for example. He's still a bit of a question mark. He sounds like he's only going to be a minor antagonist during this first film. Like, he'll watch everything with Superman versus Brainiac go down, and unlike all the regular people, he'll actually grow to mistrust Superman even more. Like, if you're this powerful, you can defeat someone like Brainiac, that makes you even more dangerous than Brainiac. I've done a few other videos about the rest of the cast, so I'll post links for that at the end of this video. But separately, Jason Momoa also just confirmed that he would be back at DC in James Gunn's new DCU movies, but Aquaman 2 would be his last time as the Aquaman character, clearing up a little bit of the confusion.
Is it true this might be the last one, or could there be a third Aquaman?
I mean, things have happened before. This is kind of like the end of this
DC universe.
DCEU universe. There'll always be a place for me at DC.
They will. There will, right?
They like me. They
should like you, yeah.
You know.
And we like you.
Basically, it looks like he's back as Lobo, but I don't know if he'll debut in Superman Legacy. There's already so many characters in that movie, so it might not be till like Superman Woman of Tomorrow or like some other DC movie where they show him for the first time. I've already done a much bigger Jason Momoa Lobo video, so I'll post links for that down in the description below. But post all your reactions about Brainiac, the Authority characters, what's going on in Superman Legacy. If you have any big questions too, I'll do more videos as we get more announcements about the movie. They'll be filming relatively soon, so we'll start getting some more actual footage of the film. Click here for my Loki Season 3 video, and click here to learn about Green Lantern and the rest of the big DC characters in Superman Legacy. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.